The idea that we were designed by our past was the principal insight of Darwin. He was the first to realize that you can abandon the divine creation of species without abandoning the argument from design. Every living thing is designed quite unconsciously by the selective reproduction of its own ancestors to pursue its particular lifestyle. Mankind nature, human nature, was carefully designed by natural selection for the use of a social, walking on 2 feet, originally African ape, as human stomachs were designed for the use of a plant and animal eating African ape that enjoyed meat. That starting point will have already irritated two kinds of people. To those who believe the world was made in 7 days by a man with a long beard, and that human nature, mankind, cannot have been designed by natural selecting or by a grand intelligence, goodbye to you. We don't have anything in common. I don't think that's right. As for those who say human nature was invented de novo by culture, maybe. I think I can convince you that's mixed with evolution. Mankind, human nature, product of culture, but culture is a product of mankind, human nature. And both are from evolution. This does not mean that I'm going to argue it's all in our genes. I'm going to challenge anything psychological, purely genetic, and also challenge the assumption that anything man or human is not partially genetic at least, but our culture does not have to be the way it is. Mankind could be very more surprising, and our culture could be different. Our closest relatives, the chimpanzees, live in promiscuous societies in which females seek as many sexual partners as possible, and a male will kill the infants of strange females with whom he has not mated. There is no human society that remotely resembles this pattern, because we are not chimpanzees. Well, if this is true, then the study of human nature must have profound consequences. Each aspect, history, the mind, behavior, is trying to understand why we act this way. And if the underlying universal of behavior is a product of evolution, it's important. What's the pressures, evolutionary pressures, were to cause this? Yet, almost all social science proceeds as if 1859, the year of the publication of Origin of Species, never happened. For they falsely lie and say that we have free will to create culture. Sounds reasonable, and it would be great for those who believe in population control if that's true. Is it true? Mankind, humanity is free to control any population and try its best to, but usually don't. We usually just do things normally. If we were more adventurous to believe in crazy population control type grand thing, there would be an experiment society that love was banned, that ambition was banned in another experiment society, that sexual desire was banned in another experiment society, marriage banned in an experiment controlled society to see what the result was. Art was banned in an experimental controlled society to see what the result was. Making sense when you speak would be banned in another experiment society to see what the result was if we were that wanting to know, right? Could there be a reason that the things are the way they are? Imagine a society without music to see what the result, without smiling. Imagine, alternate reality, women killed each other more often than men did so. Imagine if you controlled an experiment population to see how that would work. Imagine you created imagine an alternate world where old people were considered to be, the consideration flipped and old people were now seen as more beautiful than 20-year-olds. Imagine an alternate reality where wealth and riches didn't purchase power over others. Imagine an alternate reality in which people did not vote for their own friends and against strangers. Imagine an alternate reality where parents don't love their children. I'm not saying, like those who cry you can't change human nature, that you shouldn't try to make it racism illegal, because racism comes naturally to some people. So naturally you can't try to illegalize it and ban it. Laws against racism do have an effect, because one of the more positive things of us is that people calculate the consequences of their actions. But even after 1,000 years of strictly enforced laws against racism, we will not suddenly be able to declare the problem of racism solved and abolish the laws, securing the knowledge that racial prejudice is a thing of the past. We assume, and rightly, that a Russian is just as human after 2 generations of oppressive communism than his grandfather was too. But why? Do we still think that we can control our population and make everyone nice or equal?